today our podcast is going to be about self-control. Probably yes. You'll be hearing all the podcasts and all the people keep on talking about businesses, on how to do a business, on how to elevate your life, discipline, or other stuff, but they never talked about self-control. They never sat down and talk about or breaking down self-control of what it is. You get me? But the first thing that I want to do talk about is that what is actually self-control. To you might think self-control is about discipline, but you know discipline, right? Discipline is there, but there is actually what is self-control. Let me just break it down to you. Self-control is the ability to regulate your thoughts, feelings, and action to achieve goals and avoid undesirable behaviors. You hear me? To regulate your thoughts and feelings just for you to achieve your goals and to avoid undesirable behaviors. Of course, yes, self-control is similar to discipline, but it's not the same. Discipline is when you keep on continuing each and every day, do the same routine each and every day. That is discipline. But what is something that actually makes you to keep on going over and again? That makes you to have that discipline discipline motive, which is self-control, the ability to control your thoughts, right, which involves by resisting impulsive or delaying gratifications and making rational decisions, ultimately leading to long-term success and well-being. You hear me? Self-control gratificates you into making long-term decisions, in which the long-term decisions, it comes to like making long-term goals. A long-term goals is something that is ambitious, ambitious and aspiration requires a longer period of accomplish. It's not a short-term thing. A short-term thing is just maybe you have a goal of doing this. For example, like a to-do list, like normally people do that. Like a to-do list, that's a short-term goal, but a long-term goal is more like saving money, financial stability. It's more like fitness goals and other stuff. It's when you have a long-term goal and that goal, you need to take time into it, right? And while we continue about self-control, we're going to talk about the key aspects and we're going to talk about the importance of having self-control, right? Yes, I know sometimes we do lack self-control, and you may think that what is actually self-control? How are we going to actually have self-control? Which I'm going to talk about, which is the key aspect. Right? The thing is that the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the impulsive control, which is the ability to resist immediate temptation and act in a way that aligns in a long-term goal. We usually apply this impulsive control whereby we actually invite God into our lives to help us to move to that thing, because we as human minds, as human here, we have a lot of temptation around us. We have temptation to eat that, we have temptation to do that and that and that and that and that. And one thing that we're actually fighting is our mind. Your mind is the tool that is mostly actually being attacked in the Christian side, in which we say that if your mind is not strong, if you don't have a strong faith, if you don't have a strong zeal, the devil is easy to attack your mind, because your mind is the thing that is mostly attacked. Like the Bible says that we do not fight against our flesh, but against our spirit. Our flesh is the temptation. Therefore, having self-control, it helps you to resist the temptation, to act in a according way. Yes, I know acting in a according way is really so hard. But one motivation that I had is that use the 5-4-3-2 method. If you have a task that you're supposed to do, that count from 5 to 1. That 5 to 1 is a way to challenge your brain to actually move your body to do that. If you say, I'm just going to wake up at 5 a.m. and then that 5 a.m. alarms ring, what do? Are you going to snooze or what? If you don't use the 5-4-3-2-1 method, you're going to lose that opportunity. You're going to lose that exercise that you're supposed to do that. Yes, that's how it is. And me breaking down into this to overcome the temptation is for you to accomplish that long-term goal. For example, let's say You have money, and then you have a concert that you long wanted to do, and that concert is expensive, which makes you to take out the money from your savings to do that. So what do? You have to have some self-control. You have to overcome your temptation of taking the money that you are saving, maybe to buy some stocks, to invest into it, mind that you want to invest into. Hold yourself. Yes, hold yourself, put that money back, and then go to the concert. That concert is just temporary, it's just for short term goal or short term pleasure. And that short term pleasure has a negative consequences in the end. Good. The other thing that I want to talk about is emotional regulation, which is managing your emotion effectively and avoiding them dictating your actions. Emotions are our biggest enemies and our weaknesses. Second place is love. You know that love is our biggest enemy, and you listen to your heart, you listen to your emotion. That's why they keep us to listen to your brain. Your brain is the most powerful tool ever. That is your mind. It's the same applies as if when you're grumpy, you're angry, and whatsoever, and you know that you do have a task, and that you do not do that task, you actually lose it because you are controlled by your emotions. Emotions are very hard to control. Let me tell you something. You wanted to change, you doing something and forcing yourself, your brain will regulate you like, oh, she wants to change. And once she wants to change, I'm just gonna have to adapt to that. You see, forcing yourself to change leads you to change. Probably they say that you need to take about 21 days for your habits to change. If you read the book of habits, Atomic Habits, that each for 21 days, each and every task that you're doing, it leads to the end results that you wanted to do. If you're planning to do something for 21 days, or maybe you're trying to build a good character, there are things that you're supposed to do on a daily basis. Some place as discipline, like reading books about good characters and all those stuff, which will lead you into that. That is what emotional regulation. You avoid the feeling of being procrastinated, the feeling of I don't want to do it, the feeling of laziness when you know that it's a must that you want to change, which is called to long-term goals. The other point that I want to talk about is behavior modification, which is altering habits and behavior to achieve desired outcomes. Like I say, the 21 days, in those 21 days, you create the behavior, you create a routine, you create the character that you want to do. They always say, fake it till you make it. That is true. It does happen, and you need to act according to the person you want to become. That is emotional modification, right? That least but not last, into key aspects of self-control, it is willpower, the capacity to exercise restraint and make choices that prioritize long-term goals over immediate gratification. It's when you resist short-term goals for the long-term goals, right? Absolutely. Therefore, it gives us the capacity to override unwanted thoughts, feelings, and impulsive. I like to give this kind of examples to people when they ask me. I really need help when it comes to self-control between friends and business and other stuff. And and while before I actually came here for the podcast, I was actually listening to something in TikTok. There's motivation. Someone said that friends are for the poor people. Well, I do believe that, but yes, it's the truth. Friends are for poor people. And me saying that is an example that I gave someone, saying that, let's say your friend actually wants to go out, take you out, you have a planned day, and at the same time you're running a business, and the same day that you and your friend are supposed to go out, you get customers, you get clients, you get that special client. I told him that you need to prioritize the bag first. Don't put your friends before your needs. That bag is the one that will secure you, because it's the one will secure you to have a real estate and for stocks. That bag is the one that will secure you to have the aspects, because in the future, money will become devalued. Money won't even matter because money will be less and people will want aspects. But what you're going to do, you're going to have to prioritize the bag, chase the bag, and go. If your friends don't understand you, if your friends criticize, don't want to support you, because those people are going to leave you in the future. Those people don't even matter. They're just for short-term memory, for short-term goal. And your long-term goal is to build a future life that you want to be. You want to become a billionaire. You need to have the capacity to exercise, the capacity to have the thoughts of changing your behavior, changing your character, prioritizing the things that needs to be prioritized. Absolutely. Even when it comes to God, you know that you have to prioritize prayer rather than eating. You have to pray before you eat. That's how it is. That's how life is. That's how billionaires do act. Some persons I gave an example of like saving money. Absolutely. You have a goal of, okay, fine. By the end of this year, I want to have like 4 houses. And those 4 houses, I want to rent. And how am I going to achieve that? The first house I may rent. After renting it, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it with the money that I saved. And buying it, I'm going to rent another house with the money that I saved in the past that I was thinking of doing that. And what the house that I bought, I'm going to rent it. And that money that rent, I'm going to put it back in my saving account. And that rent I keep on collecting at the same time with my income, with my business at the other side, I am going to buy the house. That is long term. Instead of like cutting like 30% of your savings, go to buy that stupid ticket, put that ticket back for a moment, please. Because here, you want to become a billionaire, baby, you got to have to prioritize this. If you cannot stay for a weekend alone, I don't know who you are. Because billionaires do stay alone. They don't care. They don't have time to impress people. I have to be with that. They don't care about being around people, being around friends. If okay, fine. If you have friends that are business minded, prioritize you, push you first. Let me tell you something. Before you actually make a friend and all the stuff, you want to have a business friend and all the stuff. Don't show yourself. Mask yourself. Learn to read people first. People can be fake. People show you who they are at first when you open yourself too much. That's what I normally did in my friendships in the past. That's what I did in my relationship in the past. I pretended as if I don't have nothing to see their actions. After reading their actions, saying that I cannot be with this person, I cannot add value in this person, I gotta leave the door. Absolutely. I don't listen to anyone because I know what I bring, I know what I do. That's how billionaire mindset works. I hope you did understood about the key concept. And now we're going to talk about the importance of self-control. The first thing is goal achievement. Self-control is crucial for staying focused, achieving personal and professional goals. You get me? Professional goals. I know self-control can be so difficult, but let me tell you something. For you to actually be disciplined is when you have self-control. Self-control is the biggest enemy that we have to fight within yourself. That voice that tells you to sleep, to procrastinate, that's an evil voice. That is not you. At the same time, you have the thrive, you have the drive to change your life, you have the drive to push on. Darling, have self-control. Self-control is for goal achievements that you got. The next point is improved decision making. Avoid impulsive decisions that can lead to negative consequences. Like I said before, money, like I say, exercising and all the stuff. But let me tell you something about self-control when it comes to decision making. When you have the self-control, you know that you vibrate at a high energy, and that high energy you tend to like manifest everything. But at the same time, having that high energy, you need to be careful because you are attracting vampire energy suckers. Like I say, if you're rich, if you want to be rich, you need to be quiet. You saying things out loud because the words has power, and those words on top of that, they do have energy, and that energy will go around in the spiritual realm. And mind you, the people who are destiny destroyers will sense it through the monitoring spirits or demons, and they will detect you. That is why it's important to be quiet. That is why God always prioritize season of isolation, and that season of isolation is the moment of growth. Yes, it's the moment of growth. It's the moment of protection, and the season of isolation is when you are quiet. You understand me? Because you are rejuvenating the fire inside you. You are rejuvenating the person you are inside you. And once you're rejuvenated after that isolation season, you've been working on yourself and everything is going perfectly, and then boom, you good. You are so powerful. You can resist the world out there. You can resist the spiritual realm out there. That's how God works. That's what self-control does. And most of the people don't do understand. If you want to be successful, keep quiet. And once you are successful, be quiet. But you can do some other activities showing the people this. But once you have money, be quiet about it. Because the devil doesn't want you to win in this earth. People don't want to see you winning. Remind you, that is why I like to give examples like billionaires. Billionaires don't show who they are, except millionaires who are showcasing new money. Do you realize that old money are very quiet people because they know the power of absence. They know the presence, your presence when you are absent, because you be untouchable. The other point that I'll talk about is enhanced relationships. Of course, yes, I don't normally talk about relationships, but I feel like it's really needed in this importance of self-control. It fosters positive interaction by allowing individuals to manage their emotion and react constructively. How do you actually react constructively? By approaching situation with a focus improvement, problem solving, and building rather than tearing down. Well, then, of course, as we have immature people on this earth, we have mature people. And sometimes it can be a bit difficult to meet mature people. And at times, when it comes to situations, you need to sit down first before you actually let your emotions to take over. A situation comes, don't react, relax and watch. Good. That's how it is. Because reacting, you can find out that you regret it in the end. You never know who you're meeting. Some people are out there looking for potentials. Some people are out there looking for a wife. Billionaires are out there looking for a wife, good character woman. What do? They test the situation on how you react. Because they want people who are high value people with character, with mindset, with self-control when it comes to emotions to deal with their assets. Imagine a billionaire dating a stupid woman, or a woman who's a billionaire dating a stupid man. A stupid man. And when they give you assets, instead of protecting them, you sell them. And in the future, where you're gonna stay in, where your kids are gonna stay in, absolutely, self-control enhances good interpersonal skills. Well, the other and last but not least, the last point of importance before we actually end this podcast is increased well-being. Increased well-being by prioritizing long-term benefits over short-term gains, self-control, contribution to a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. You know, while I was still actually stating this point here, something came up my mind. Like normally, like the woman who has 72 years or 62 years, who are still looking good as they're in their 30s, they had a goal. They had a long-term goal. They were like, baby, I'm gonna start now to exercise to keep myself healthy for the long-term future so I can still look beautiful. Look at where they are. Increasing well-being when it comes to self-control changes your perspective towards everything that comes to you. You tend to not want to hang to any people. You tend to choose people. I believe in isolation because isolation, if you know that you're supposed to isolate yourself, you know what you're going to do during your self-isolation. Is either you're going to stuck there in your depression or you move on. Good. Well, then, that is all about self-control in short, but I'm not here to actually talk too much. If you're interested in more podcasts that are about to come, I need you to just subscribe down below and my YouTube just right there and like so that some other people can literally hear this powerful message. You know, you can just keep it to yourself. Come on, don't be selfish. And on top of that, I would like you to just subscribe to my Spotify down there. The link will be down below, and follow me in YouTube for more advices of more lifestyle coaching about lifestyle and all that stuff. And I'll be glad if you do that, and have a nice day.